So I want to talk to you today about the future of our species, and really the future of life. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from neandertals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Not textiles and vehicles and weapons, but bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself. Because today, data is the most important asset in the world. In ancient times, land was the most important asset. And if too much land became concentrated in too few hands, humanity split into aristocrats and commoners. Then in the modern age, in the last 2 centuries, machinery replaced land as the most important asset. And if too many of the machines became concentrated in too few hands, humanity split into classes, into capitalists and proletariats. Now data is replacing machinery as the most important asset. And if too much of the data becomes concentrated in too few hands, humanity will split not into classes, it will split into species, into different species. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. There is a lot of talk these days about hacking computers and email accounts and bank accounts and mobile phones, but actually we are gaining the ability to hack human beings. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need 2 things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. Not data about what I buy or where I go, but data about what is happening inside my body and inside my brain. Until today, nobody had the necessary computing power and the necessary data to hack humanity. Even if the Soviet KGB or the Spanish Inquisition followed you around everywhere, 24 hours a day, watching everything you do, listening to everything you say, still, they didn't have the computing power and the biological knowledge necessary to make sense of what was happening inside your body and brain, and to understand how you feel and what you think and what you want. But this is now changing because of 2 simultaneous revolutions. On the one hand, advances in computer science, and especially the rise of machine learning and AI, are giving us the necessary computing power. And at the same time, advances in biology, and especially in brain science, are giving us the necessary understanding, biological understanding. You can really summarize 150 years of biological research since Charles Darwin in 3 words. Organisms are algorithms. This is the big insight of the modern life sciences, that organisms, whether viruses or bananas or humans, they are really just biochemical algorithms. And we are learning how to decipher these algorithms. Now, when the 2 revolutions merge, when the infotech revolution merges with the biotech revolution, what you get is the ability to hack human beings. And maybe the most important invention for the merger of infotech and biotech is the biometric sensor that translates biochemical processes in the body and the brain into electronic signals that a computer can store and analyze. And once you have enough such biometric information and enough computing power, you can create algorithms that know me better than I know myself. And humans really don't know themselves very well. This is why algorithms have a real chance of getting to know ourselves better. We don't really know ourselves. To give an example, when I was 21, I finally realized that I was gay after living for several years in denial. And this is not exceptional. A lot of gay men live in denial for many years. They don't know something very important about themselves. Now imagine the situation in 10 or 20 years when an algorithm can tell any teenager exactly where he or she is on the gay-straight spectrum, and even how malleable this position is. The algorithm tracks your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and tells you who you are. Now maybe you personally wouldn't like to make use of such an algorithm, but maybe you find yourself in some boring birthday party of somebody from your class at school, and one of your friends has this wonderful idea that I've just heard about this cool new algorithm that tells you your sexual orientation, and wouldn't it be a lot of fun if everybody just takes turns testing themselves on this algorithm as everybody else is watching and commenting? What would you do? Would you just walk away? And even if you walk away, and even if you keep hiding from your classmates or from yourself, you will not be able to hide from Amazon and Alibaba and the secret police. As you surf the internet, as you watch videos or check your social feed, the algorithms will be monitoring your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and they will know. They could tell Coca-Cola that if you want to sell this person some fuzzy, sugary drink, don't use the advertisement with the shirtless girl. Use the advertisement with the shirtless guy. You wouldn't even know that this was happening, but they will know, and this information will be worth billions. Once we have algorithms that can understand me better than I understand myself, they could predict my desires, manipulate my emotions, and even take decisions on my behalf. And if we are not careful, the outcome might be the rise of digital dictatorships. In the 20th century, democracy generally outperformed dictatorship because democracy was better at processing data and making decisions. We are used to thinking about democracy and dictatorship in ethical or political terms, but actually, these are two different methods to process information. Democracy processes information in a distributed way. It distributes the information and the power to make decisions between many institutions and individuals. Dictatorship, on the other hand, concentrates all the information and power in one place. Now, given the technological conditions of the 20th century, distributed data processing worked better than centralized data processing, which is one of the main reasons why democracy outperformed dictatorship, and why, for example, the US economy outperformed the Soviet economy. But this is true only under the unique technological conditions of the 20th century. In the 21st century, new technological revolutions, especially AI and machine learning, might swing the pendulum in the opposite direction. they might make centralized data processing far more efficient than distributed data processing. And if democracy cannot adapt to these new conditions, then humans will come to live under the rule of digital dictatorships. And already at present, we are seeing the formation of more and more sophisticated surveillance regimes throughout the world, not just by authoritarian regimes, but also by democratic governments. The US, for example, is building a global surveillance system, while my home country of Israel is trying to build a total surveillance regime in the West Bank. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, science may enable life, after being confined for 4 billion years to the limited realm of organic compounds, science may enable life to break out into the inorganic realm. So after 4 billion years of organic life shaped by natural selection, we are entering the era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. This is why the ownership of data is so important. If we don't regulate it, a tiny elite may come to control not just the future of human societies, but the shape of life forms in the future. So how to regulate the data, the ownership of data? We have had 10,000 years of experience regulating the ownership of land. We have had a few centuries of experience regulating the ownership of industrial machinery. But we don't have much experience in regulating the ownership of data, which is inherently far more difficult because unlike land and unlike machinery, data is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It can move at the speed of light, and you can create as many copies of it as you want. So does the data about my DNA, my brain, my body, my life, does it belong to me, or to some corporation, or to the government, or perhaps to the human collective? At present, big corporations are holding much of the data, and people are becoming worried about it. But mandating governments to nationalize the data may curb the power of the big corporations only in order to give rise to digital dictatorships. And politicians really, many politicians at least, are like musicians. And the instrument they play on is the human emotional and biochemical system. A politician gives a speech, and there is a wave of fear all over the country. A politician tweets, and there is an explosion of anger and hatred. Now, I don't think we should give these musicians most sophisticated instruments to play on. And I certainly don't think they are ready to be entrusted with the future of life in the universe. Especially as many politicians and governments seem incapable of producing meaningful visions for the future. And instead, what they sell the public are nostalgic fantasies about going back to the past. And as a historian, I can tell you two things about the past. First of all, it wasn't fun. You wouldn't like to really go back there. And secondly, it's not coming back. So nostalgic fantasies really are not a solution. So who should own the data? I frankly don't know. I think the discussion has just begun. Most people, when they hear the talk about regulating data, they think about privacy, about shopping, about companies, corporations that know where I go and what I buy. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are much more important things at stake. So the discussion has hardly begun, and we cannot expect instant answers. We had better call upon our scientists, our philosophers, our lawyers, and even our poets, or especially our poets, to turn their attention to this big question. How do you regulate the ownership of data? The future, not just of humanity, but the future of life itself, may depend on the answer to this question.
Welcome to True News from Davos, Switzerland, World Economic Forum 2018. Ed Zoll and Doc Burkhardt here with me. What a day.
Wow.
This is information overload. The message that we heard today is this. Number one, globalization is good. Number two, nationalism is bad. Is that what we heard?
Basically, yes.
Yeah, show's over. In fact, Angela Merkel said that populism is poison in society. Strong words.
Yes.
Poison. There was one session towards the end of the day that was just off the charts. I mean, we looked at each other and said, that's it. This is why God brought us to Davos, Switzerland. The event that we attended today, we all were in agreement. This is the reason we came here. This session, it was titled, Will the Future Be Human? And the speaker was a professor from Jerusalem. His name?
Yuval Harari.
Yuval Harari.
Yes.
Professor of history at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem.
Yes.
And within the first 3 minutes, we all knew this is going to be good. This is off the charts. So let's just start at the beginning. He said at the beginning of his presentation that we are on the edge of the end of Homo sapiens.
Right. Yes, and he's describing not, just maybe a virus is the other things wiping out humanity, but that a algorithm, AI, would come in. The next revolution will wipe us out.
The re-engineering of human beings that will actually produce new species of humans.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities. That are more different from us than we are different from Neandertals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Not textiles and vehicles and weapons, but bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future, not just of humanity, but the future of life itself.
You know what? I'm blown away more watching this a second time than when I was actually sitting there and listening to him. He said that the economy of the future is not going to be manufacturing textiles and physical objects like this table and your iPhone, but it's going to be manufacturing human bodies, manufacturing human brains,
and even moving beyond humanity too. On top of that,
that's right. He said, Doc, that he's an historian, and he said in the past when humanity would reach a revolutionary stage in the economic development, that humanity would split into economic classes.
Right.
But he said in the next revolution that we're witnessing right now, humanity will not split into new economic classes. Listen to this, folks. He said humanity will split into new species.
That means new organisms.
New human beings, we will not be just Homo sapiens. There will be other species of humans on the planet. Watch this video. This is what we saw today.
In the last 2 centuries, machinery replaced land as the most important asset. And if too many of the machines became concentrated in too few hands, humanity split into classes, into capitalists and proletariats. Now data is replacing machinery as the most important asset. And if too much of the data becomes concentrated in too few hands, humanity will split not into classes, it will split into species, into different species.
All right, is this blowing your mind, what this guy is saying? That we're going to see new species of human beings develop. Now, at one point he said he didn't know how soon this was going to happen, but at another time he said maybe 5 to 10 years from now.
Right.
Yes.
And he said when this happens, everything changes. He said we may be only 5 to 10 years away from this breakthrough in science. And what we're talking about is bioengineering of the human race. By the way, today it was announced that scientists cloned monkeys.
Yes.
Okay, and they're talking about mass cloning of monkeys for the purpose of pharmaceutical research. Think of the unethical, purpose of what they're doing. They're going to clone monkeys solely to experiment on them.
Right.
I mean, but this is where these people are going.
They become a product now.
That's all they are. Now, he talked a lot about data, okay, and we talk on True News about big data.
Right.
And so the thing that he said is coming very soon is the ability of brain scientists to hack the human brain.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean, to hack the human brain?
So what he's referring to is the implementation of what are called biometric sensors. Now, they might eventually be able to do this wirelessly, but what he described in the talk is putting an actual sensor inside the body that will be able to translate what's going on inside the body, in the brain even, into electronic signal, which then tells an AI algorithm what's going on. This can then be hacked, just like your iPad, just like your iPhone.
So everything, he said, they will know everything, not what you, now listen to this, folks, not what you're doing. He said, you got to get this out of your mind. You know, the George Orwell 1984, the cameras are following you and all that kind of stuff. This is going far beyond that. They're going to know what's happening inside you.
What you're feeling.
What you're feeling, what you're thinking, right. Your heart rate, your biorhythms are going to be fed to an AI brain. And they're going to know what every human being is thinking, feeling, planning to do based on their body responses, physical responses in their body. This is astounding. He said that organisms, what scientists have come to understand, is that all organisms are nothing more than algorithms.
Right. Yes. He called us biological algorithms. We're just a mathematical equation, each one of us.
Did you guys get the feeling that the guy was, I don't want to say soulless, but that he was so almost non-human, that he just saw himself as an intelligent clump of dirt?
I felt very awkward, Rick. I felt like I was looking at someone who's in the near future going to try and enslave my family.
Yeah, it was. It was an intense session. He also said that algorithms will monitor your eye movements, your blood pressure, and the governments and corporations will use algorithms to know the truth about you. And he said there will be no place to hide because they will be monitoring your heart rate, your breathing, what your organs are doing. Everything will be monitored in real time.
And he also said that the gateway to all this manipulation is going to be healthcare. People are going to want to feel better, be better, look better. And so you're going to want this in order to be healthy, right?
Yes, because he said people will give up their privacy. They will trade their privacy. They will trade control of their human body
for health.
In return for free health care.
Yes.
And he stressed that over and over and over. Free health care. Now why have they settled on free health care? They know something. They know that this is a carrot that if they dangle in front of people, 90% of the people will take it.
Well, it's because it comes down to death, right? Everyone fears death, and they're going to try to provide something that would help people escape.
Extend your life. So if you sign up for this program, if you participate in it, but where he's showing, what he was telling us is that eventually there will be a world that there is no escaping it. You're going to be born into it. One of the sessions I heard yesterday was the pharmaceutical guy. He was talking about a global registry of children based on the immunizations, the vaccinations. Okay, so I was wondering, well, what are they going to be implanting into the bodies of the infants when they get these vaccines? Well, now we're seeing sensors.
Biometric sensors.
Biometric sensors.
Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. Not data about what I buy or where I go, but data about what is happening inside my body and inside my brain. Until today, nobody had the necessary computing power and the necessary data to hack humanity. Even if the Soviet KGB or the Spanish Inquisition followed you around everywhere, 24 hours a day, watching everything you do, listening to everything you say, still they didn't have the computing power and the biological knowledge necessary to make sense of what was happening inside your body and brain and to understand how you feel and what you think and what you want. But this is now changing because of two simultaneous revolutions. On the one hand, advances in computer science, and especially the rise of machine learning and AI, are giving us the necessary computing power. And at the same time, advances in biology, and especially in brain science, are giving us the necessary understanding, biological understanding. You can really summarize 150 years of biological research since Charles Darwin in 3 words. Organisms are algorithms.
So what the professor is saying is that brain sciences now giving scientists, the science of the brain is now making it possible for scientists to gain access to the human brain and to monitor everything that the brain is doing, thinking, feeling. And he actually got into the discussion, could they create non-organic human beings? Listen to this, folks, non-organic. He's describing you and me as organic humans, natural humans. Could they create non-organic humans?
Artificial life.
Artificial life that's not even made of flesh. And he said that at some point that the scientists would abandon organic life and develop inorganic life forms. But the biggest challenge that they're facing is how do they create consciousness?
Right.
This is crazy. You think about it, this is, in a lot of ways, this is exactly what Satan wanted from the beginning. Trying to replicate God's creation.
Trying to be a creator.
Yes.
All right, so this takes us back to the book of the Revelation. There are three angels circling the earth. The first one is crying, fear God, worship the Creator.
Yes.
The second one is shouting, Babylon has fallen. The third one is shouting, do not receive the mark of the beast. But look, the first message of the angel, the three angels, the first message is, fear God and worship Him, the Creator.
Right.
So what's happening, Doc, at the end of the age?
Satan's trying to hijack creation.
He's trying to become the Creator.
Right. And, I asked you this earlier, and I'm still working through some of the thoughts on it. If we are changing humanity, are we no longer human? And if you're no longer human, do you have a soul? Can you get saved?
Are you redeemable?
Yes. Are you beyond the salvation of God if you're no longer human? So these changes have a big question with them.
Well,
but that was Satan's goal from the beginning.
All right, so Noah was the only one who was pure in his generation,
Yes.
righteous in his generation. What did that mean? Did it mean he was the only one? He and his family were the only humans left that the Nephilim had not contaminated their DNA? To me, it looks like Satan is planning to contaminate human DNA so that humanity is no longer human.
Yes.
And they can't be saved.
Right.
That's mind-boggling, Doc.
It is. Well, he went on to explain a little bit further in the next clip about how we've just basically come down to a simple algorithmic quantification. We're just a number, really. Just a computer program.
Yeah, everything's an algorithm, but he talked about how governments and corporations will be able to use algorithms to monitor everything about us. They'll know what we're thinking, what we believe. They'll monitor your blood pressure when you see an image, and they'll know what you really think and desire just by the change in the blood pressure.
Yes.
There'll be no way to hide.
No place to hide, nowhere to hide. Watch this video.
You can create algorithms that know me better than I know myself. And humans really don't know themselves very well. This is why algorithms have a real chance of getting to know ourselves better. We don't really know ourselves. To give an example, when I was 21, I finally realized that I was gay after living for several years in denial. And this is not exceptional. A lot of gay men live in denial for many years. They don't know something very important about themselves. Now imagine the situation in 10 or 20 years when an algorithm can tell any teenager exactly where he or she is on the gay-straight spectrum, and even how malleable this position is. The algorithm tracks your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and tells you who you are. Now maybe you personally wouldn't like to make use of such an algorithm. But maybe you find yourself in some boring birthday party of somebody from your class at school, and one of your friends has this wonderful idea that I've just heard about this cool new algorithm that tells you your sexual orientation, and wouldn't it be a lot of fun if everybody just takes turns testing themselves on this algorithm as everybody else is watching and commenting? What would you do? Would you just walk away? And even if you walk away, and even if you keep hiding from your classmates or from yourself, you will not be able to hide from Amazon and Alibaba and the secret police. As you surf the internet, as you watch videos or check your social feed, the algorithms will be monitoring.
Here's the thing. As I sat there today watching him, the professor is a very intelligent, very educated man. He's a Jewish man, an Israeli citizen.
Yes.
Right? So you have this Israeli citizen, Jewish Israeli citizen, who is an atheist.
Yes.
He's so smart, so educated, and yet he's an atheist. And he made a remark. He said, there's no intelligent design. Basically what he said was that we are the intelligent designers. And he said there's no intelligent design like a God in the clouds. He went on later to say, the clouds are Microsoft, Apple. You know, we're creating our own clouds.
Right.
I want you to watch. I want you to watch this video from his presentation, and then later, in a press conference, I was able to personally ask him a question about the comment you're going to see right now. Watch this.
For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution.
So what the professor is saying is that natural organisms, humans, animals, that have been here for thousands of years, they are going to disappear, and they are going to be replaced by organisms created by what he calls the true intelligent designers, which are going to be the technocrats, the scientists.
Yes.
They're going to repopulate the planet with new organisms that they created. Now later, the professor had a press conference, and True News was there. I got to ask him a question. Watch this.
Rick Wiles, True News, Florida, USA. In the earlier session, you said there's no intelligent design by a God in the clouds. Could you elaborate on those thoughts?
The fourth question was about God in the intelligent design and gods in clouds. So I was just referring to it, that the word intelligent design immediately brings to mind of many people the creationist idea that all life forms are designed by God. And sometimes people tell me, don't use the word intelligent design. But it is intelligent design, what we are about to see in the world. It's just not the intelligent design of the God of the Bible. It's the intelligent designs of human beings and increasingly of algorithms. This is why I referred to the intelligent design of clouds, of the cloud computing. That designing a life form is such a complicated thing to do that in all likelihood, no human being will be able to do it. But our algorithms may be able to do it for us. And increasingly, we'll see in more and more fields this shift in authority from humans to algorithms. So even if we keep as figureheads, the presidents and the CEOs will continue to be human beings because we don't like the idea of being ruled by algorithms. Actually, these presidents and CEOs, they will be choosing between options dictated by algorithms, often without really understanding how they came to these options and what do these options mean. So you'll still have some human being being given the option, okay, we'll do A, B, or C, but the ones really driving the show will be the algorithms that shape the options in the first place.
What we heard today with the professor from Israel, this was what God wanted us to hear. Everything else that we heard from the politicians, okay, big deal. What we heard here today is revolutionary. And so we're grateful that we're here. Yes. We want you to know about it. We have a lot more to tell you, and we'll tell you these things after we get back from Switzerland, and we continue this discussion next week. Thank you for watching True News. Please share this program on social media. Help promote this telecast that you just watched. Please get it on social media. Tell your friends, tell your pastor, tell folks at church. You've got to watch this program. Christians have no idea the revolution that is taking place right now around them. They've got to see it. They've got to wake up, and we've got to tell people that Jesus Christ is coming. This is Rick Wiles on behalf of Ed Rizal and Doc Burkhart from Davos, Switzerland, World Economic Forum. We'll see you tomorrow.